Guys, as you can see the thumbnail, what it says, Rob Reiner, director Rob Reiner, and his wife was found murdered on Sunday. And the suspect that the person that they had suspicions for was his son, Nick Reiner. As you can see on the thumbnail, the son murderer. So we don't know what happened, but Nick took out his parents. And we're going to jump into the videos, right? And get things rolling. So let's do this. And make sure I'm pulling up the right assets. All right, so let's jump into this short clip.
Rob Reiner's son is now in custody after the murders of the actor and director and his wife, Michele. Sources tell ABC News the two were found stabbed to death in their Los Angeles home overnight. Now officials are expected to give an update on the investigation later today. Our Alex Stone has the latest on that. We're going to get to Alex in a bit. But first, I want to go back to Brad Garrett. Brad, for your reaction here, we're just learning right now, breaking news, that Nick Reiner is in custody. What do you make of that?
So the custody, them taking him in custody happened a few hours ago. All right, so I'm just bringing you an update based on the cumulative information that's going out there, that's being disseminated over media. So just gonna pull everything in together and bring it to you. So this is what we're doing right now.
So do adult children kill their parents? Of course they do. We don't know that is the case here, but it's one thing you have to look at. Now, who was last at the house? Does Rob Reiner have security? Does he have CCTV? Are there phone records that place his son at the house? And what was their relationship? Who knows what's accurate, but the two of them even did a movie years ago about his son's addiction and the issue that has played. I could name off a number of homicides where adult children that had addiction problems harmed their parents. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. So all of those things I just mentioned, can LAPD put the son at this location? I'm really curious to know who notified emergency services and or the police. Does the son have anything to do with that? And so it's like every other case. Can you put the son at the scene? We don't know how they died, but all that's important to see if the son is a viable suspect.
And this all happened at their home in Los Angeles. Our Trevor Alt is there right now. Trevor, what are you learning?
Well, this arrest does not necessarily come as a surprise based on the rumors and some of the reports that we had been hearing, but LAPD had been very tight-lipped yesterday when they addressed the media, Diane. So this is certainly a very big development that Nick Reiner is in custody. Now, the LAPD has not clarified what charges he may be facing, or even that it is 100% certain tied to what appears to be a pretty grisly double murder at the home here that's just on the left. We watched this morning as the medical examiner showed up here on the scene. They have since cleared it. They had several blocks all around that were blocked off while that investigation was ongoing. They've since removed all of that caution tape, so we could go right up to the gate of Rob Reiner's home, and you can see signs for a security system here. Now, how that played out in terms of how the authorities were notified of this, we're not 100% sure. We know that LAPD officers arrived here around 3:30 in the afternoon yesterday, and they were arriving because they were conducting a death investigation. Now, we've been waiting on some more details here. We know that the Associated Press had reported that a source with the LAPD had said that officers were questioning a family member. It is highly possible that that was Nick Reiner, who has now been charged here. But of course, there are still many unanswered questions on a really devastating story for a lot of people. Rob Reiner, of course, one of the most highly regarded directors all around the world, had made so many iconic films. Michele Singer, a photographer in her own right. They were extremely well loved around the world for their work, and also here in the neighborhood here in Brentwood, known to frequently have gatherings, and other members of their family lived in the homes in the neighborhood as well. So certainly a devastating twist. This was something where we were waiting on police to give us some information. I expect now we will probably get some clarity on those charges for Nick Reiner later today. It's not 100% clear when the LAPD will address the media, but they had been planning on an update already. So I do think we will get some details later on today.
And Trevor, we're hearing now there's a $4 million bond in his case. I want to pull a little bit more on the community. You talked about how they are beloved there. I understand his daughter lives right across the street with her kids. They were known to throw a lot of parties. How are people there reacting?
Well, from what we've seen, I mean, this is a neighborhood that a lot of celebrities live here. And of course, a lot of celebrities who have worked directly with Rob Reiner, Diane. And so among them, we know yesterday, after the authorities were already on the scene, Larry David showed up here, Billy Crystal showed up here, and one of our reporters from our local affiliate, KABC, said it looked like Billy Crystal was devastated, almost as if he was on the verge of tears. Of course, Billy Crystal and Rob Reiner worked together on one of their most beloved films, When Harry Met Sally. I would imagine you are going to continue to see an outpouring of devastation from people, not just here in Brentwood, but people who had worked with Rob Reiner going back decades. I mean, this is a person who's been famous since the 1970s, so more than 50 years. And of course, the people of Brentwood, it is certainly an upper class community. These are extremely nice homes. There are very prominent security system logos outside of basically every driveway here. It's not necessarily a neighborhood that would say you might be covering a double murder, which probably makes it all the more shocking for people. We continue to see people in patrol vehicles for security systems, not even law enforcement, just security workers that are patrolling this neighborhood here too. And so for this to happen in such a neighborhood is especially shocking, but really any kind of double murder like this, especially when it does appear that perhaps the son of the victims may be in custody, responsible for these double murders. Now, we don't know that 100% for sure, but this is shocking top to bottom, Diane.
It sure is. Brad, what comes next in this investigation?
So, what has the son said? Was the son involved in the 911 call? I'll tell you, Diane, that's not uncommon for adult children who kill their parents to turn around and report and infect themselves to 911. So we'll see if that is there. Has he said, the son, has he said anything about the issues with his parents, and maybe even has given them a statement? I mean, it tells you volumes because the bond is so high at $4 million. So I think that's where this case is going in that regard. But going back to your question, what do they have in addition to maybe a statement from the son, to the TikTok of everything that went on at this location? Where did the knife, it's been reported there was a knife involved. I don't know if that's true. Let's just say it's true. Where did it come from? Was it one from the house? Was it one that the suspect brought? Again, trying to put, if it's the son, you put him in the house. Now, I'm sure he's been in the house a number of times. But the point being, was he in the house when this occurred? It's all of those things, tying a suspect through motive, through a weapon, through a location, through cell phones, etc. All of that, LAPD and the district attorney in Los Angeles are pulling together as we speak.
Brad Garrett, Trevor Alt, thank you both.
And this is tragic, right? This is tragic for this to happen to
My name is Whitney Allen, and
to
I'm a
these
widow.
beloved
After
to
my
these
husband
beloved
died,
people. All right, very tragic for this to happen to these beloved people. It doesn't matter who it happens to, right? Just the fact that it did happen, and it left them in a bad predicament for the family. So the family is in mourning. That's no question about that, right? So yesterday I did a piece of why, when I talked about on the podcast yesterday, like what makes a person want to go out there and harm someone? Drug addiction, I guess, is a good indicator that the possibility of them stealing and hurting someone close to them is on the menu. It is, for the life of me, hard to understand. I've never been the type of person that actually had a feeling or desire for drugs. Never really been, right? And I would tell people like, hey, if you consume drugs, right? If you consume drugs, then when you consume drugs, it is hard to get off of it. You know, it is hard to get off of it. So for me, it is difficult to understand when someone can't get off a substance, because it's willpower. But of course, taking drugs does have some chemical reactions on the body and make you desire it, wanting, because a lot of people that have taken drugs, whether it's alcohol or any kind of suppressants or any kind of intoxicants, right? They are looking for the high again, right? They're always looking for the high, so they're chasing it constantly, and they'll never get that high again. Never. Right? So let's play this next video.
And the District Attorney Nathan Hochman.
Let's go back.
And the District Attorney Nathan Hochman. Just want to level expectations. We will allow some time for questions, but because of this is a preliminary investigation still, very active. It's being filed as we speak. There's not a lot we're going to be able to say right now. Also, if you would, please quote one question at a time so that we can hear the question and answer it appropriately. So if we could have that decorum in here. DA Nathan Hochman.
My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the District Attorney of Los Angeles County. Today I'm here to announce that our office will be filing charges against Nick Reiner, who is accused of killing his parents, actor-director Rob Reiner, and photographer-producer Michele Singer Reiner. These charges will be 2 counts of first-degree murder with a special circumstance of multiple murders. He also faces a special allegation that he personally used a dangerous and deadly weapon, that being a knife. These charges carry a maximum sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. No decision at this point has been made with respect to the death penalty. We have requested, and currently Nick Reiner is being held without bail. Now, before in announcing these charges, I also want to announce that they're just that. They are charges. Charges are not evidence. Evidence is something that we will be presenting in a court of law to meet the standard of proof we meet in every criminal case, which is beyond a reasonable doubt, to 12 jurors who will unanimously have to find that we've met that standard to prove the charges we bring to court. Right now, with respect to the process, once the charges get filed this afternoon, Nick Reiner will be then brought to court. He is going through medical clearance, something that everybody who gets arrested and gets held in a Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department jail goes through. Once he is medically cleared, he will be brought to court to be arraigned on these charges. At that point, he will enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Now, prosecuting these cases involving family members are some of the most challenging and most heart-wrenching cases that this office faces because of the intimate and often brutal nature of the crimes involved. Rob Reiner was a brilliant actor and director, an iconic force in our entertainment industry for decades. His wife, Michele Singer Reiner, was an equally iconic photographer and producer. Their loss is beyond tragic. and we will commit ourselves to bringing their murderer to justice. I want to thank LAPD Chief McDonnell, who is here today, along with Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton from the LAPD, and LAPD Captain Scott Williams, and the entire robbery homicide division, who literally has been working around the clock to gather the evidence that have led to the charges we're going to be filing today. Also from my office, I have Assistant District Attorney Maria Ramirez. I have Director of Specialized Prosecutions John McKinney. I have our Head Deputy of Major Crimes, Craig Hum. And I have the two prosecutors who will be leading the prosecution in this case, Assistant Head Deputy of Major Crimes, Habib Balian, and Deputy District Attorney for Major Crimes, Jonathan Chung. They will bring their decades of experience to holding this murderer accountable for his actions. At this point, again, you will hear in the media rumors, you will hear speculation, you will hear hearsay. What I'm asking everyone to do is to rely on trusted sources. If it doesn't come from the District Attorney's Office, from LAPD, from the Coroner's Office, or from the courtroom itself, then there's a good chance you are hearing misinformation. Because at the appropriate time, the actual evidence involved in this case will be presented in a court of law. So I ask for your patience until that is done. But again, please do not rely on rank speculation, rumor, or hearsay to believe that you understand anything about what went on in this case. I'd now like to turn it over to Chief McDonnell.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. And it's with deep sadness that I address the tragic loss of Robert and Michele Reiner. On December 14, 2025, LAPD officers from our West Los Angeles division responded to a death investigation at the 200 block of South Chadbourne Avenue, which is in the Brentwood section of Los Angeles. Upon entering the residence, they discovered the bodies of Mr. and Mrs. Reiner. Detectives from our Robbery Homicide Division Homicide Special Section immediately initiated a comprehensive investigation. The evidence gathered led to the arrest of their son, Nick Reiner, who was taken into custody later that night without incident in the Exposition Park section of our city. Today, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office has formally filed charges against Mr. Reiner for the murder of his parents. This case is heartbreaking and deeply personal, not only for the Reiner family and their loved ones, but for our entire city. We extend our deepest condolences to all of those who were affected by this tragedy. I want to take a moment to recognize and thank our criminal justice partners, the District Attorney's Office led by D.A. Hochman, and everyone who worked tirelessly on this investigation. Their swift action, professionalism, and commitment to justice have been instrumental in bringing clarity and accountability to this case. The LAPD remains steadfast in our mission to protect life and uphold justice. We will continue to support the Reiner family and ensure that every step forward is taken with care, dignity, and resolve. Thank you.
We'll now take some questions. Yes, right here in the front.
Mr. Attorney, could you talk about why you feel this case rises to special circumstances?
So special circumstances is a situation where one of the enumerated factors that lead to elevating in some ways a first-degree murder case to a special circumstance first-degree murder case occurs. One of those special circumstances is called multiple murders. Here we have two, and it qualifies under the definition of multiple murders to allege the special circumstance in this particular case.
Chief,
I saw over here.
Nick Reiner found, and was there any evidence on him indicating a crime, and did he say anything?
Yeah, he was found with good, solid police work, investigative tools used by Robbery Homicide and Gang and Narcotic Division detectives with the U.S. Marshal Service Task Force involved as well. So we're thankful for the work that was done. I won't go into talking about what was found or anything that could potentially taint the investigation.
Chief, one follow-up question,
yeah.
sir. Given Nick's history of drug use, was there any indication that he was under the influence at the time of this crime?
No, thank you again. That's another question I can't touch.
And following up on that, is there any evidence of mental illness in his background?
Yeah, you can do it.
I'm sorry, please repeat the question.
Is there any evidence of mental illness in his background beyond the addiction?
The evidence, any evidence, if there is any, of mental illness for his background will be coming out in the hearings that will occur. We anticipate, again, after the arraignment, the process will go through the normal process a case like this goes through. At the appropriate time, if there is evidence of mental illness, it will be presented in court and in whatever detail the defense seeks to do that. Yes, right here.
Are you anticipating any kind of significant delay in bringing this case to trial on the basis perhaps that Dick may have to undergo significant psychological evaluation, which would also give your people what they need in the way of background to what might describe why his actions happened the way they did?
We don't anticipate any significant delay more than is involved in a first-degree murder case with special circumstances. These are some of the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring against anyone. And we anticipate that the discovery that we will produce to the defense will be robust. It will be very involved. They'll want adequate time to review it. They'll want to go through every single factor that they can ascertain in the defense of Mr. Nick Reiner. So again, this will proceed along the tracks that many of the first-degree murder cases proceed. Do I anticipate it being particularly fast? No. I anticipate it being very thorough. Yes, right here.
Cause of death and time of death. Can you share any information about that?
We are not at this time. Yes. Yes, right here.
Did other members of the Reiner family help with your investigation so far? And did they provide any information or assistance which led to Nick being arrested?
Let me defer to the chief on this.
Good. Hi, I'm Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton, Chief of Detectives. We don't have any specific information we're going to release at this time regarding the family's information they provided. As we move forward, that information will be discussed in the appropriate venue, which will be the court.
You are watching live coverage here of the charges just announced moments ago. 2 counts of first-degree murder against Rob Reiner's son, Nick Reiner, accused of stabbing to death both of his parents, Rob Reiner and Michele Singer Reiner, in their home. Of course, they were discovered over the weekend. Nick Reiner, their son, is 32 years old. ABC News has reported here that it's believed that one of the daughter actually found the parents in the home, and at the time, Nick Reiner.
This changes everyone's life. Everyone's life. Every day. To be that selfish, to kill your parents, your siblings' parents, your siblings' children's grandparents, this ruins everyone's life. How selfish can a person be to not think that by doing this act, you're going to affect not only yourself and the immediate people that you offended, but you're going to cause trauma throughout the entire family. So, immediate family and then extended family and friends. Why would someone be this selfish? For the life of me, I just don't understand. I can't wrap my head around it. Let's continue.
Was no longer in that home. You heard the DA asked a number of questions there. Would this take longer given special circumstances in this case? He said he did not expect it to take any longer than a typical case that includes charges as serious as these, 2 counts of first-degree murder. He said he's accused of killing his parents with a knife. He said the maximum sentence is life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. He did not indicate which of those 2 options the DA plans to to go after in this case. Again, Nick Reiner, the son of Rob and Michele Reiner, now 2 counts of first-degree murder in the stabbing deaths of his parents. That's one breaking story we're following. There are also new developments at this hour in the urgent manhunt in a separate case. I want to show you these images real quick before we go.
Listen. Let's back up for a second. Just let's back up for a second. Look at everybody. Everybody around the table. His brother is smiling. His sister is smiling. His father is smiling. His mother is smiling. Right? I'm not sure if that's his mom. However, his stepmom, stepmom, but everybody's smiling. And he looks very lost. He doesn't look like he's in person, his body's sitting at the table. But look at his eyes. He just looks like he wants to be somewhere else. All right? And this is not good for anybody. Right? Not good for anybody. And so we don't understand why. It's going to take some time to understand why. But let's continue.
Special report from ABC News.
Thanks so much for streaming with us. I'm Elizabeth Schulze. We have been listening to breaking news. The LA District Attorney announcing 2 charges of first-degree murder against Nick Reiner, who's accused in the death of his parents, Rob and Michele Reiner, the famed Hollywood icon. Let's go right away now to ABC News' Trevor Ault, who is there in LA outside court. Trevor, these 2 charges of murder just announced.
Yes, and we knew these were going to be pretty substantial charges as Nick Reiner was being held without bail, Elizabeth. But to get that clarity now, they are officially accusing the 32-year-old of murdering both of his parents, Rob Reiner, Michele Singer Reiner, carried out. And also, while not revealing too much information about how they believe these murders were carried out, they did confirm some information that we had been hearing from sources about this investigation. Among them, the fact that we had heard that this was carried out by Rob Reiner, Michele Reiner, being stabbed to death. What we heard from the district attorney is that a special circumstance, along with those first-degree murder charges, is that he used a dangerous and deadly weapon, which was a knife. He specified that. Of course, they played the rest of the press conference very close. They don't want to reveal too much information. So I do want to take our viewers through the timeline, what we have heard from sourcing so far. First of all, is we know that Nick Reiner had been very open about the fact that he had been struggling with substance abuse issues going back to the time that he was a teenager. He'd been very open about that. He actually worked with Rob Reiner, his father, making a film inspired by his difficulties. What I had heard from being on the scene at the Brentwood home where these murders were carried out, I spoke with a former security guard who had worked with the family, who said that Nick had been staying on the property there, that he was obviously very troubled, although from that security guard's perspective, Nick had never displayed any kind of tendency that would indicate he was potentially murderous. What we've heard about the timeline is that Saturday, sources say, the family was at Conan O'Brien's holiday party, and there was some kind of argument that played out between Rob and Nick Reiner, and people described Nick's behavior at that party as saying that he was acting strangely. Then, of course, the bodies were found on Sunday, the daughter discovering both Rob and Michele with those fatal stab wounds, police then on the scene. But then it appeared that Nick, according to law enforcement sources, had left. It wasn't until Sunday night that they were able to find him and apprehend him without incident. That was near USC. He was then booked the following morning, Monday, and now here he is officially charged. We did also see that he has retained an attorney, a high-profile defense attorney named Alan Jackson. Alan Jackson recently represented Karen Reed, another case that had a lot of attention on if she was acquitted on a murder charge. Alan Jackson said at this point there's not been an arraignment for Nick Reiner because he's still going a medical review, basically, which is a standard procedure for a person who has been arrested and is going through the procedures facing charges. So that still needs to play out. Does not necessarily indicate that there might be physical or mental medical issues that Nick Reiner needs evaluated. But hanging over all of this, Elizabeth, is the possibility of mental illness maybe being involved. We don't know that for sure. What we do know is in that very press conference that we just heard, the district attorney was asked about if Nick Reiner had displayed any issues with mental illness, if they were aware about any kind of mental diagnosis, and he didn't say no. What he specified is if there is a mental health diagnosis, that would come out over the course of the trial and would be presented by the defense. It's possible that mental illness is not a factor in this case, but it is also possible that it is. Of course, hanging over all of it still, the history of drug abuse. We don't know yet if that is involved in this case. What we do know is law enforcement and the district attorney believe 32-year-old Nick Reiner fatally stabbed both his mother and his father in their home over the weekend. A very tragic story. One of the most iconic filmmakers in the history of cinema passing away. His wife, also incredibly beloved, a photographer in her own right. We're hearing people all over the world, and certainly people who worked with them and knew them well, in mourning. Elizabeth?
And as the district attorney said, these cases involving family members are some of the most challenging and most heart-wrenching. Trevor out there outside court in LA for us. Trevor, thanks so much. I'm Elizabeth Schulze. We will have a lot more news after this break.
Whenever, wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember
All right. So, all right, let me pull this up, and I got it here. So now let's do this. Let me read what's here. As you can see it on the screen, I had to pull this asset up and make sure everything is working and going good. So, all right, as you can see here, guys, and thanks for tuning in. All right, just give me a second. Let me just do something real quick. All right, I have that. So everything is okay. All right, so as you can see, Rob Reiner has 4 children, including an adopted daughter who will inherit his, wow, $200 million fortune. I wonder if that's the reason why. I wonder. That could be a reason why people do violent things, because his stepdaughter, the adopted daughter, is going to inherit $200 million. So let's look up how much Rob Reiner is worth. Rob Reiner's net worth, I think, it's 200 or 300 million. All right. Rob Reiner's net worth. Let's see. I'll tell you guys in a second. Oh, so Rob Reiner's net worth is $200 million. So Think about this. Rob Reiner's 4 children, including an adopted daughter who will inherit his $200 million fortune. Where would that leave his children? Penniless. The adopted child is going to get everything? Wow. Let's continue. Rob Reiner and Michele Singer, who were found dead inside their LA home. And here's all you need to know about their children. The fortune he left behind and his sons linked to their murder. Didn't I say that? Let's continue. So here, right here. So these are the children. So let's go down a little bit further, right? This is the guy that was and his wife that was killed. Let me pull up that thumbnail again, just in case those of you that are tuning in don't see, but you've probably seen it. But let me pull up that thumbnail again, so you guys can see. Give me a second. Right there's the thumbnail. This is Nick Reiner, the one with the circle around him. This is when he was younger, and to the side is him being older, right? And how he currently looks in his older, stuffy beard, not shaved, right? Even in his young pictures with his family, he doesn't look like he's really there. His parents are happy, but he doesn't look like he's really there. And the same way he looks as an older person, right, at 32. But let's get back to that information. All right, so let's continue reading. Rob Reiner and Michele Singer were discovered to be dead in their Brentwood, Los Angeles home on December 14, 2025. As per the authorities, the couple's tragic death have been dubbed as apparent homicide. As soon as the news of their death was revealed in public, it brought an entire Hollywood to a standstill. Rob and Michele's shocking death have shaken the entire American film industry. As he was one of the finest filmmakers and screenwriters in history. According to the early report, the authorities have been treating the veteran couple's death as an apparent homicide. Rob Reiner and Michele Singer found dead inside their LA residence. Here's everything we need to know about the case of their death. For the uninitiated, it was on December 14, 2025, around 3:30 p.m. local time, when the Los Angeles Fire Department, LAPD, received an urgent medical call at the Reiner's Brentwood residence. When the first responders arrived at the scene, they found 2 deceased individuals inside the house, who were later confirmed to be the 78-year-old Rob Reiner and 68-year-old Michele Singer Reiner. As per the officers, both Rob and Michele had injured consistent with stabbing on their bodies. Wow. He must have stabbed them multiple times. The LAPD immediately launched an homicide investigation under the robbery homicide division. I wonder if he attempted to rob them. I wonder if he had mask over his face and somehow the mask slipped, or he said something and they realized it was him and called him out. He got scared and he just acted right? The action of going in, that, like, say he's living in the house is what they say, so he already has access inside, but we don't know. I'm just speculating, right? Let's continue. All right. Talking about the police assessment of the case so far, they're not making loud or direct statements because the investigation is still underway. However, detectives continue to collect evidence and are also engaging in interviewing potential witnesses or leads related to the shocking death of Rob Reiner and Michele Singer. The official reason behind the death is still under wraps, and autopsy results are still pending and under observation. Who is Nick Reiner? Meet the suspect or person of interest in his parents, Rob Reiner and Michele Singer's death. That's Rob Reiner in the middle, and that's his father on the left in the lavender shirt. Let's continue reading. People hadn't even processed Rob Reiner and Michele Singer's shocking death yet, and some media outlets linking their second son, Nick Reiner, to his parents' killing have shaken everyone to the core of their hearts. Amidst the investigation, TMZ reported that Rob and Michele bodies were found with laceration consistent with a knife. According to the report in People, their second son, Nick Reiner, is allegedly the one who killed his parents. The groundbreaking accusation against Nick has taken the internet by storm and has given a completely different angle to the veteran couple's death. Rob and Michele, right there. Let's continue reading. As soon as Nick Reiner was linked to his parents, Rob and Michele Singer's death, personal details about his battle with drugs also started getting a lot of attention on the internet. For the uninitiated, Nick had been addicted to heroin. Addicted to heroin, and reportedly had been to 18 recovery facility due to his addiction to drugs. Nick had even dealt with homelessness and gone through a lot of mental health struggles. Wow. Let's continue. Rob Reiner left a $200 million fortune for his 4 children. Meet iconic director, adopted daughter, and 3 kids of Michele Singer. Rob Reiner not only left a cinematic legacy, but also built an impressive fortune for his children. According to multiple reports, Rob reportedly left behind a fortune worth around $200 million for his 4 children. The renowned screenwriter has 4 children: Tracy Reiner, Jake Reiner, Nick Reiner, and Romy Reiner. When Rob Reiner was married to his first wife, Penny Marshall, they adopted a baby girl whom they named Tracy Reiner. And here they are. All right, this is his first wife right here. And let's continue. And that's Rob Reiner right there. I remember this picture when I was younger. I do remember this picture. Right? So Rob Reiner and Penny Marshall married in 1971 and divorced in 1981. After which Rob married Michele, and they welcomed 3 sons: Jake Reiner, Nick Reiner, and Romy Reiner. regarding the regarding the professions of the four children, Tracy is a renowned American actress, Jake is a singer, Nick is also an actor, writer, and Romy is a performer. What are the thoughts on all these major anecdotes related to Rob Reiner and Michele Singer's life and death? Wow. This is gruesome, guys. This is gruesome. This is gruesome. The son murderer. There he is. Why? This is gruesome. Every day on Sunday we had the issue in Australia. Yesterday they arrested 4 people for plotting to cause mayhem on 2026 New Year's. Every day it's something. I mean, will we ever get a break from these violent things that are happening? It would be so great to just one day wake up in a utopia, right? Wake up in a utopia and everything is just beautiful, right? But will we ever have such a utopia where we can just wake up on one day and across the world there is nothing going on? No violence, no famine, no wars, just peace, tranquility. Will we ever have that? It would be a glorious thing to have that. Wouldn't it be? No issues with someone saying, oh, you're racist. Oh, you're prejudiced. Oh, you're hateful. Just peace. Just peace. I don't think we'll ever have that. But guys, there you go. A renowned screenwriter, actor, director, beloved individuals and couple. And they're no longer here because this drug-addicted son decided to take his parents out. Wow. This is just crazy. But folks, that's it. That's it. Just remember that it is always important to think before you do something. You know, I said the other day, think twice, and then think twice to that thinking twice that you just thought twice before you do something. And if you doubt yourself, talk to someone. Speak to someone that you trust. Right? Because it could be the help that you need. It could be the help that you need. Right? And that would stop you from making ridiculous, crazy decision. I think that this is it. I'm done here. So I must say to you, one love and respects, and remember to always question everything, because if you don't, you may fall for anything. Think and say. Have a good day.